Now that I've seen Lustria with my own eyes, I believe the tales are true. Both of the gold that can be pried out of every ruin, and also of the denizens of that cursed land. Lizardmen, savage in deed and heart. It matters not the price. I will not return to those forsaken jungles again. Lustria, a large tropical continent located within the southern hemisphere of the New World. It is considered to be the rightful domain of the Lizardmen race. For long ages of the world, the mysterious continent of Lustria has remained hidden to outsiders. This is not by accident, or by some geographical oddity, but rather strongly maintained magical wards, enchantments which disorient intruders. Those that manage to pass through the unseen barriers find other dangers. Lustria's coasts are home to treacherous tides, for example, unnatural eddies, and typhoons of great power. In its clear blue waters lurk scaled reptilian beasts whose jaws could splinter a ship's hull. While the waters surrounding Lustria are perilous, the whole of the enormous continent is one of the most hostile regions in the entire world. The majority of its landmass is covered in jungle, a dark abode where death comes in a myriad of guises. Mighty prehistoric carnivores rule the forests, some actively stalking their prey, while others lurk in ambush, awaiting whatever wanders close. No less deadly are the jungle's smaller killers. Everywhere debilitating parasites lurk, awaiting their opportunity to latch onto a new host, and the humid air buzzes with swarms of blood-sucking insects, so voracious that they can exsanguinate a man before his body can collapse to the forest floor. Only the lizardmen and other cold-blooded creatures can endure the stifling heat and humidity for long. Other races eventually sicken and die. To its native lizardmen, however, because of this, Lustria is a haven. It's a death trap to invaders, and a bulwark against the disorder that was let loose in the world with the coming of chaos. Lustria contains mighty rivers, vast tracts of unbroken swampland, arid deserts, soaring mountains, and a vast and fertile plain. But this seething biomass of jungle dominates all other features of the landscape. The Slan record is that Lustria was originally attached to the Southlands, which is the part of the Warhammer world that is inspired by Africa. As a part of the Old One's great plan, the two were separated by the Great Ocean and changed from barren wastelands to fertile jungles. It was around this time that most of the Lizardmen temple cities were founded and populated. When chaos first entered this world, Lustria wasn't as dangerous a continent as it is today. But in desperation, the jungle was deliberately enchanted by the lizardmen, turning their surroundings into a death trap full of carnivorous plants, living quicksand pits, and teeming swarms of insects whose stings could crack dragon scale. Rivers were redirected to impede the demonic advance, and volcanoes rose and erupted to slow their hellish progress. After the great catastrophe in which chaos entered the world, Skaven were the first of the younger species to vie for control of Lustria. Their clan pestilence inflicted many lizardmen with a plague that weakened their power and caused many of the cities to fall into ruin. This was only reversed with the rise of the serpent god Sotek and his prophet Techenhwain around the Imperial Year Zero, which drove the Skaven out of Lustria. The imperial calendar which is used here is centered on the date of Sigmar's coronation. So like our calendar is centered on the birth of Jesus Christ, that is 0, approximately anyway. 0 in the imperial calendar is Sigmar's coronation. Before the discovery of Lustria by the Norse, a trading vessel from the Old World was caught in a fierce current off the coast of Araby, and swept into the swirling waters of Ulthuan. The wrecked ship was washed up months later on the southeastern shore of Lustria. Unbeknownst to the crew, one of the passengers, Luthor Harkon, had been a vampire, and although all of the humans died in the disaster, the vampire and his offspring lived and founded a new realm of undead in the New World, known as the Vampire Coast. The first human to reach Lustria and survive was the Norse seafarer Lost Eric, who recorded landing on an island just off the coast of Lustria and looting gold from Lizardmen. He failed to realize the extent of the land, and it was drawn on maps as a small cluster of islands. Lost Eric's son, named Lost Ericsson, was the first Old Worlder to reach the mainland of Lustria. After trekking inland in search of treasure, Lost Ericsson and his men left Lustria as rich men, only to return and settle down where they first landed, naming the settlement Skeggi, after Lost Ericsson's daughter, the first human to be born in the New World. Since Lost Ericsson returned with gold and riches, Lustria has been a popular destination for travellers seeking to make a fortune, and this has resulted in several Lizardmen cities being looted. The increase in traffic to Lustria has also increased the number of ships wrecked on its coast, which has served to swell the number of helpless victims the undead of the Vampire Coast can add to their ranks. At least 4/5 of Lustria is covered in jungle so thick that its many levels of canopy block out the sky. Even the high peaks and plateaus are blanketed, and it is said that arboreal creatures can cross the entire continent without once stepping on the ground. In places, the trees soar many hundreds of feet in the air and are older than the race of man. The jungle floor is choked by dense undergrowth, and there are few true paths beyond animal trails. Visibility is limited and the air is thick, often wreathed in drifting mists. To an outsider, the claustrophobic jungles of Lustria are much the same, but to its native creatures, nothing could be further from the truth. The dense fern tree valleys, the titanic skywoods, and the moss-covered flood zones each offer their own deadly perils. To creatures who have lived their lives braving such dangers, it becomes instinctive to rely on the hundreds of different environments, anticipating the types of plants and creatures that might lie in ambush. In the jungle, you are always being stalked. Knowing by what can mean the difference between life and death. To intruders, it is an alien landscape, a singular green hell, where anything or everything is trying to make a meal of them. A great amount of plant life of Lustria is carnivorous. Grasping creeper vines, blood-hungry spore clouds, and impaling spike thorns all seek the unwary. Yet even the omnipresent dangers of lethal flora pale in comparison to the many creatures that can make the jungle their hunting ground. Every hanging vine might be home to a fist-sized stinging insect. Prides of scale-maned reptilians wait in concealment, ready to pounce upon passers-by. Great hunting cats, cannibalistic monkeykin, and the buzzing swarms of enormous insect life make the jungle a constant battle zone, where survival is an hourly struggle. Yet most dangerous of all is what hunts beneath the canopies. Ruling the forest floor are the giant reptiles. These beasts have been long extinct from the rest of the world, but in Lustria they rule supreme. Swift-moving colonies of bipedal razorbacks scurry through the underbrush, while packs of cold ones hunt the game paths, seeking fresh meat. From the canopies above swoop down pterodons and all manner of lesser-winged reptiles. The jungle floor trembles with the tread of mighty stegodons, their passage uprooting trees and making short-lived roads through the jungle. Enormous sauropods stretch their necks and pluck creatures out of even the uppermost branches, while plodding thunder lizards actually penetrate above the canopy, seeking to swallow entire cloud banks, altering weather patterns for miles around in order to charge the fearsome attacks that they use to kill their prey. In the deepest jungle, rarely seen by the Lizardmen, lurk strange, feather-winged serpents, multi-legged behemoths, and the mysterious Arcanodon. Yet all of these creatures know fear when they hear the roar of the Carnosaur, for none are safe from the relentless fury of the king of the savage killers. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that kind of general overview of Lustria, but I think I'm going to go into more detail and some other things like this Norscan settlement that's in Lustria. I'll give you some details of that and move on to the Dark Elves and the High Elf settlements that I believe are in Lustria as well. So yeah, the hype for Total Warhammer 2 is obviously not over, because I'm going to milk that cow like it's making chocolate milk. Or perhaps gold milk. Liquefied shekels is what the cow is producing, and I'm liking it. So there we go. I assume that's why I've gained 50 subs in like the last week, because of all the traffic towards Warhammer videos because of the announcement. So yeah, thanks guys. That's why I was so annoyed about my modem not working, because I wanted to crack out a video on Lustria like super quick, or you know, Dark Elves or some shit to capitalise on the old Warhammer 2. Tactics, lads. Now, as we move on to getting more into the specifics of things, if you don't realise by now, you should have kind of realised earlier, to be fair, when it was describing how the jungle got to be how it is right now, but the Lizardmen are one of the most advanced races in the Warhammer world. Definitely magically. But another kind of piece of evidence for this is if you look at this map that I've got on the screen now, where the Beastmen are, the biggest, by far, patch where there's no Beastmen is Lustria. And, which is even more impressive because Lustria is like dense rainforest. So, would kind of be ideal grounds for the Beastmen. But you can see that it's actually hostile to creatures of chaos, is what I'm assuming from that. Very cool. I love how they intentionally created the rainforest to guard them against chaos. Just such an awesome touch there. So yeah, more details coming in soon. I just thought this map was really interesting. And you can see the kind of distribution of chaos energy from the poles in this map as well. Because there's so much Beastmen near the North and South Pole, which is where all the energy from the Immaterium comes to mutate people. So yeah, I guess fucking, like, Norscan tribes must be about half Beastmen. Yeah. Alrighty, so I'll see you next time. I'll probably make a video tomorrow, actually, to fill in some blanks. Cool, see ya.
And we say, sometimes there is a time. It's not a time we relish. It's a time of blood. It is a time where we put our lives on the line. The stakes of civilizations. The stakes of society. These are not times where history stands still. No. These are times when the periods of decades, centuries, eons of happen in a matter of years. These are times when the fabric of the universe is folded. Irrevocably.